Welcome back to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. How you doing? I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. We begin with a book I would describe as seductive, salacious, and sensational. Polyamory is the name of the book, and it comes from the creative mind of Meagan Shupe, a mother of 2 toddlers in Utah by day and writer when she comes up for air. Thanks for joining us, Meagan. So you've been writing for some time now and thinking about publishing.
Well, so I kind of have been trying to do that since junior high or the late aughts, early teens.
Okay.
I did a lot of really bad fan fiction, just like most teenagers. And then I decided to turn one of my more decent fan fictions into a story that did pretty well on like Wattpad and Inkit. And then I wrote the book that I published because it came to my head after reading something someone else wrote, and I went, I could do this better, and so I did.
Okay.
It was a fan fiction, it was a romance, and I went, I could do this theme better, and so I did.
All right, so tell me what you did.
So polyamory it's a story about an 8-way polyamorous relationship between one woman and 7 men. And it starts out with Alta, the woman, finding herself in a small town in rural Utah with $300 to her name and searching for a job because she's living out of her car. She winds up getting an interview at a diner that she doesn't get the job for, but one of the waiters overhears her saying that she is living in her car, and he offers her a home so that she has an address so that she can get a job, and things just kind of go from there, and it turns into a really wonderful, heartwarming story about found family and how love looks different for everybody.
Well, you say that she left her wealthy Southern family to prove a point to her father. So even though she already had a family, she wasn't getting what she needed from her own family.
Yep.
And what happens here?
The 7 men all already have a relationship with each other that I actually detail in a later book that I just finished a couple days ago. But
when you say relationship, what do you mean by that? Are they sexually?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So Max is the guy that decides to take her in. He's got 6 stunning roommates. They're already having a relationship. Personally and sexually, and nobody's getting jealous.
Well, you have your little jealous moments, but I don't show those in the story because, they're petty little squabbles that don't really have any importance.
Okay.
It's just normal couple fights, except for it happens on an 8-way scale.
And then a woman enters the picture.
Yes.
So I would think there has to be something pretty special about this woman for them to even allow her into the group.
Well, so they were technically looking for a woman because they're not gay. They are bisexual. They do like women. And they wanted to fulfill that need within their relationship. And the special thing about her is that she fulfills a kink that 2 of them have. In that she lactates, and I know that's really weird.
She lactates. Now, she's never been a mom though?
No, some women can produce milk from having certain kinds of birth control because there's synthetic progesterone in it, and it reacts with their body in a way that causes them to lactate. And it usually will. I know, it's something that I learned as well and went, oh, well, that's interesting.
That is very interesting. All right, so she's able to lactate, and that is sexually arousing.
For a couple of them, yes.
Okay. So is there anything else?
So other than that particular kink, right at first, it's nothing really too special so much as she just kind of clicks with everybody. They find her to be sweet and caring and just what they needed. And so they bring her into things. And she kind of clicks sexually automatically with one of the guys. Like they're just that kind of, when you meet someone and you're just like, oh, yes, you.
Magnetism, animal magnetism.
Yes.
I do.
Yeah, a couple of them have that. Like she has that with one of the one of the guys. His name is Ben, and they hit it off literally within an hour of meeting each other. So,
do people know about what's going on here, or do they keep it secret?
So right at first, nobody knows what's going on between them aside from the business partner of one of the guys and another two of the guys' best friend. They're the only people that know what the relationship between the seven of them actually is.
Okay.
Until they close it off from bringing Alta in, and that is actually part of the story, is them telling their families and their families coming to terms and accepting or not accepting them. And some of their families, they take to it right away and are like, that if this is what makes you happy, then we're happy and we support you. And some of their families take it a little harder and it takes them a little while to accept things. And well, some of their families never accept it.
And you say there's near-death encounters as well.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Okay. Wow, this is fascinating stuff here. You have a very active imagination.
I have been told that.
To promote this book, you need to go out and talk about it, right?
Yes.
In your town where you live, do people know that you've written a book?
Not really. If you're not part of the LDS church around here, you don't really know anybody.
Latter-day Saints.
Yes, Mormons.
You're in Mormon country. How do you talk about this?
I don't live in like a small town or anything. I live in one of the largest cities in the state. There's like Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that.
Or even bookstores that sell erotica.
There aren't very many of those.
You should find one.
I think there's a couple in Ogden and a couple in Salt Lake that my husband has found that I got to contact.
How's your husband feel about this book?
I mean, it's not his cup of tea, but he's happy that I actually got to write it and get it out of my head.
So this story was just kind of mulling around in there. Now you finally got it out.
Exactly.
So you had to probably write a lot of erotica.
Oh, yeah.
Was that fun for you?
Oh, yeah. I love it. I like doing the research for it.
Where do you do the research?
Kink sites. A lot of kink sites. I have some friends that are active in the kink community, so a lot of talking to them and getting to know what the actual lifestyle is like.
Just for the record, yes, that is your son that we're hearing in the background. So what's next?
So I have 2 more completed books in this series. And then I have another series that is also polyamorous that I've been working on for years. It'll probably never be like published in the sense that it's in bookstores because I already published it on Amazon once.
Okay. But there's more to come for Alta Rose Jennings.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think it's interesting in the beginning, Max takes her in because he's a vet. He's a student vet, and he has a soft spot for strays. How does she feel about that?
Well, so it's a really crowded house, and it's something that she has to get used to, but in the end she loves it because she's used to, like, with her blood family, it was a very quiet home. Like, it was a big, huge plantation house in the South that was just her and her brother and her parents, and it was super quiet and super controlled. She was a debutante. She was a pageant queen. And so she comes from that to this. It's a Victorian mansion, but it feels like a cozy 3-bedroom because there's so much life and so much going on there.
All right. Meagan Shupe, author of Polyamory. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
The dark side of foster care is exposed in Derek Person's book entitled Through One's Eyes. How you doing, Derek? You told me that you didn't keep a journal, but you took a lot of notes as you were growing up.
Every time something comes to my head, I grab a paper, something, write it down, and put it away like that. Funny thing about it, I was told by people, say, you have good writing. Why don't you publish it? And like, I thought, I knew it was okay, but I didn't know it would be this eye-opening to people when I sometimes ask them read this and they say, oh, this is really good, things like that. I'm really grateful to have made it this far out of foster homes because it was really tough. And I mean that in a negative way. When you go to a home and you're not the biological child, you don't get that, I should say, caring treatment. And you're usually abused, things like that. And me being so little, I thought that that's the way I was supposed to be treated.
Were you in a home from the time you can remember?
I think I was around 4 years old when I started. I can say one of my foster homes was the best. They had a dog. It's like 2 of us in that foster home. I still remember the names, the Collins. I remember the names. But unfortunately, the father passed away, so they moved me again. And that's when things started getting bad. It doesn't say a specific home, but it somewhat tells about the experience that I've seen and observed. I remember one home, I was about 6 then, 6 or 7, and we used to walk to school in the morning, me and some of my other foster kids, and I was crossing the train track, and unfortunately my foot got stuck in the rails, so the train was coming in, people were screaming, and I finally got my foot out, and the train went by. That day, the school might have told my parents about it, and I didn't know. So I come over, they asked me, how am I doing? I'm okay, okay. Anything happen today? And I remember what I said. I was so little, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was told to go upstairs and take my clothes off and come back down in my underwear. And I got a beating.
Why? Why did they beat you?
I don't know.
I am so sorry, Derek.
And they both took turns.
And then what happened?
She beat me, and then my foster father came home and he beat me. So, hold on, please.
It's okay.
So I was punished for that. I couldn't sit down for a while. But me and my foster brothers was thinking about running away. Because I remember when the social workers come by, we will always be dressed up. So when they leave, they tell us go back, go upstairs and change your clothes. So it's like a false way of presenting us when they came by.
So this family got foster children on a regular basis.
Yes, it was like 5 of us.
I'm so sorry, Derek. How long did you stay there?
3, 4 years.
And then you get moved again.
Yes. And then there was the Ebrams. And there were times I would get up at night and try to leave. I remember one time I came home from school and my dad beat me. He grabbed me by one leg. He beat me and dropped me down the steps.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Were you ever able to get away from all of this, get through school, get out on your own?
I came here when I was 11. My mother ended up coming to get us from out of foster home.
Okay, so you went back to your biological family when you were 11?
My mother, but not my dad.
Okay. Was that any better?
No, because funny thing about it is when I was 21, and I was at my mother, but she came in the room one day and said, "Why is that music up so loud?" I wasn't a very disrespectful to my parents, and she pulled out a stick and started hitting me. Within 3, 4 months, I thought about it and I left because I had a job, so I left. The only good thing I can remember about the foster homes was there was this. I believe I was in the 5th grade, and my teacher named Miss Davis. I remember her name, like I always remember her name. She took us all kids from the class to a Christmas party at her house, and everyone was given presents. We had sweet stuff and cakes, whatever we wanted, and some drink, and I'll never forget her for the rest of my life.
Did writing this book help you deal with some of the things that you've been through in your life?
Not really. It just gave me opportunity to vent things out.
Yeah.
And the way I put it down, because I want people to know that whatever you may have went through, someone is going through the same exact thing or even worse. And to try to push yourself forward because you're not alone.
Are you able to go out and talk about your book?
A matter of fact, I did that one time. I work at a part-time job called Price Right.
Okay.
And this little girl came up to me and said, she asked me how much was some can of juice she had. And like I told her I'll go check for her. So I went and checked, and I came back and I thought about the book. I said I asked him her mother, "Do you read books?" She said, "Sometimes." So I was explaining to her what my book was about, and it really threw me off because they both started crying, and it was the most touching thing that happened, and I felt bad about them crying because I felt that I did something wrong or said something wrong, and I apologized to them, and they said, "No, it was very nice, very nice." So I don't know. I feel kind of off center when I explain my book to people, and they start putting their heads down and so forth, and it's just something that it breaks me down to. But I hold my composure while I'm writing a book, because when when at moments I feel like crying right then, but I hold myself and I put it back. I don't let it come out,
Yeah.
and that's how I deal with it.
Well, I hope you're able to get out and talk. You know, would be nice if we did a better job following up the people who are taking foster children.
I thought about that.
Yeah. Are you going to keep writing?
Oh, yes, I have papers here already. I started here and there, but I have to go back and edit it sometime. But that's how things they pile up. I do it and I don't have time to edit it in. I look it up and I start editing things like that. My book is also about life in general. It's um, how people go through life. My dad was in the army, and I wrote certain things about him of what I felt he had went through in the army. Also, I make um, a short story of how he battled in war.
So you lay all of this out in a series of short stories.
Yes, yes, and then like um, how people uh, relate to certain things. I can take like a word or color, and I can do a writing from there. Some of the writings in there also. How couples are meet. So it's not directly all about me. It's about just life in general, animals, how they meet in the wilderness and so forth, things like that.
Okay. Derek Person, author
Yes,
of Through One's Eyes. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
A truck driver based in Wisconsin, G.S. McKinney, was in North Carolina when I caught up with him to talk about his book entitled Time's Reckoning. Now, you say you always wanted to be a writer, but nothing happened until...
Just one of those things where I was actually snowed in Albert Lee one year, and I just happened to have a brand new laptop, and I thought, well, I'll see what happens. I broke it out, and I started making some stuff up, and next thing you know, my book, There Time's Reckoning, was born a few years later.
So Gregory McAllister, successful business owner and devoted family man, came out of nowhere.
Pretty much.
He ran a company. It was infiltrated. This created a catalyst for a global catastrophe that just kind of came through your brain and into your fingers and onto the page.
Right. Made it all up. I've had a lot of people ask me if that was me. Did this really happen? I said, no, it's fiction. And I said, I made it up, and I try to keep the name simple. So this is my first novel. So keep the story simple and the storyline simple, and the people, because all the people have their own little personalities as well. But I like to say it's fiction, so nobody can call me a liar.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. So what's the global catastrophe? What happened?
Well, you have to read the book. What happened is these bad people infiltrated his company, and they were actually procuring items through his company, and he didn't know about it. So they were working on building up their stuff through his company, and he had no clue until somebody brought it to his attention and said, we got to stop this, and we got to figure out what's going on and why.
What did his company make?
He was a procurement outfit. He could get people anything, anywhere, and ship it anywhere. And he actually had offices all over the world. And he worked with individuals all the way up there to governments and everybody that's in between. And he just found a niche for himself, and he fit right in, and he was honest, did a good business trades and deals, and everybody liked him. And if they had a problem, it was remedied right away, and everybody liked that. He just worked on honesty and low prices.
And he had to seek out help from the government once his company was infiltrated.
Yeah. Right. He had to go through the CIA and the State Department and figure out what was going on. They worked with him, and the FBI.
And so what can you tell me about this? They have a worldwide journey. They encounter twists and turns.
Yeah. It started out with a phone call in the middle of the night, and he got actually called into his office. And when this was brought forth to him what was going on, then he decided we'll leave to go to the first place to figure this out, where it starts at, in a couple of days on his plane. And everybody said, no, you can't really do that. You're not supposed to go with the FBI in their investigations. And he kind of threw himself around and said, well, yes, I am going. And he wound up going. And he went to different countries to follow the money trail and seen where it led them. And throughout the process, throughout going to these different countries, the word got out to the news and the media that this guy, a Wisconsin native, procurement specialist, business owner, was a bad person. He's done evil dealings, bad dealings, and people started to kind of turn away from him. His family and his friends, his employees started to leave, and he also encountered some tragedies in the process. And he just kept going. He says, I have to prove my innocence and save the reputation of myself and the company. And he just keeps on fighting until that task was accomplished. And how that task is accomplished is an Alfred Hitchcock twist at the end of the story to show how he actually did that.
When you talk about like this catastrophe, are we on the verge of blowing ourselves up, or like what kind of an economic catastrophe? What can you even talk about what the catastrophe, the impending doom might be?
Some terrorists got a hold of a bomb.
Oh.
They made a bomb. And I used to read a lot of Stephen Hawking, and I mixed some physics in there. There's some science in the middle of it. There's a neutrino explosion that's supposed to be the most powerful explosion in the universe. And so I mixed some of that in there with another explosion. And these people designed like a neutrino bomb, and how it's activated with a high intensity laser. And so they have the actual capability to create this neutrino explosion. And once that's created, well, then that's going to be the end of a lot of things. It could do some heavy damage. So that would have to be stopped. And that's what most of the storyline is about, them stopping that.
Woo. So do you wrap this up, or is this part of a series?
Well, it took me 14 years to write it, and a handful of people that have read it already, about 30 of them, they have said that they want a sequel. They said, you can't end a story like that. You got to have a sequel. It has to go on. And I'm like, well, okay.
Okay.
I didn't end it where there would be a sequel, but I can figure one out and keep the story going. But I'm working on a series of short stories now, something just totally different. And I'm about halfway through that. And then when that's done, then I'll start working on this sequel for this other story, For Time's Reckoning.
Wow, you're really getting into this.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Writing is fun.
How are people finding out about your book?
Well, there is a link on YouTube. There's a little video. I'm also got these little business cards of the book I had made up. And on the back of that card, there's it's a little QR code.
Okay.
You can scan that code and it'll go right to that video, tell you how to buy the book, and little synopsis that's about the book, and people find out that way.
You find the business cards to be working for you?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
That's good to know. That's good for writers to know.
Oh, yes.
Are you able to go out and talk about your book? Like when you're at the truck stop, are you getting out and talking about your book?
Well, once in a while, I've actually sold, probably, I don't know, a couple handfuls of books to drivers and the employees at the truck stops and some of the customers I go to. sometimes just people at random, they say, oh, this looks really interesting. Do you have one? I go, yes, I do.
Yes, I just so happen.
Yes, as luck may have it, I do have one.
That's great. Okay, so that's a good idea. So you feel like you're getting some traction.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to say that I hope that people enjoy the story as much as I enjoyed writing
All
it.
right.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. It sounds very involved.
Oh, there's a lot of detail, a lot of research I went into it, and 14 years worth. I mean, I drive a truck, and so there's limited time for that as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So that 14
I
years.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
You would encourage other people if they want to do it, right?
Oh, yes, without a doubt. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Once you have it finished and you hit that last period on the end of the last word or the last sentence or the last paragraph of your last word, the last page, and we're like, that's it. And then it's just a relief, a feeling of some accomplishment, and like, wow, it's finished. And then you get even more feeling when you hold that printed book in your hand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to feel great.
It's awesome.
All right. G.S. McKinney, author of Time's Reckoning. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
In October 2022, Andrew Elitzer had an idea, and that idea became the book he always wanted to write. It is entitled Simply Put. What was the process here?
I just started texting to myself. There's a piece in the book that talks about this whole process for me. I got an idea from watching someone on the street, watching someone in a store. I heard something came to my mind, and I started texting it to myself. And this has not been formulaic. This has been an organic stream of consciousness experience. Very, very interesting. So these pieces basically wrote themselves. I do have to get involved consciously and clean them up. Sometimes they don't come to me completely, so then I have to take some time off and go back to it and go from there. But much of my work is organic and stream of consciousness, and I'm just there for the ride. It's been really a fascinating experience. And the topics, they're designed to have people think. They're very short, so people that don't like to read or have a problem with reading, I think would get some value from this book. This book is about life experiences, relationship, awareness, longing, love, desperation, despair, acceptance, longing, acceptance, inspiration, hope, then pieces to memory, and then pieces on nature, pieces on comedy, observations, shorter stories. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as microfiction. For all the reading I've done in my life, whatever it is, I never knew that there was such a thing as microfiction, and I was writing microfiction. The last part of my book is called Shorter Stories, and it's microfiction. So again, these are very, in my mind, the people that have read my book, I have a number of reviews on Amazon that are very nice reviews. I'm very thankful. They feel like they're reading their life when they read my book. Now, that's not everyone, but the point about my book is it is a book for everyone. So it's a book that you can either see your life personally and the pieces that I write, or you can identify or get a better understanding of how someone else sees life.
All right, so give me an example of a story I'm going to find in your book.
Okay, it's broken up into 10 chapters, and there are different titles under each chapter. All right, so this is something that most people struggle in life at some point, and they struggle with belief or self-confidence or depression or whatever. So this is a piece under a chapter called I Declare, and it's called The Light. You think it is hopeless with nothing ahead, yet there is a light if you will only believe it. Keep searching until you start to believe in the light and watch it grow inside you. At first, it may come for only a few moments and appear to die out. Do not give up. The dawn is starting if you will only believe it. Continue to march on until the dark slowly fades away into the light that has always been with you.
These are like words to live by. Like if you want to wake up every morning and, pick something out of your book to start your day, that's what it sounds like.
I'll read you another one and you can talk about it if you want. So here's one. Here's how the book starts. The mirror had died. I went to shave a thick stubble in front of my mirror and found the mirror had aged with little cracks on all four corners. As the stubble started to fall from my face, I felt a bit shaky and could not tell why. I regained my composure and looked into the mirror once again. There I saw more cracks in the mirror, this time in its center. I became shaky again and almost fell to the ground. I regained my footing and looked into the mirror one last time. The cracks had grown away from the center, and I could no longer see my face or what was left of the stubble, for the mirror had died.
Oh, that's a good one.
I write on all kinds of topics. I've written 1,000 of these. I only have 175 in Simply Put. I mean, I write on everything. A matter of fact, if you want, let me just read you something from my newer work so you'll see what's going on. Because this is a piece of microfiction. This is COVID now.
Okay.
This is a piece called COVID. I had seen a man and his son at the same location every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. I always did my grocery shopping at that time, and I passed them as they were waiting for the bus. On occasion, I would wave to them. Once or twice over the years, I stopped and offered them a ride home, but the father politely said no. And one Sunday morning, the father waved me over to tell me his son had become ill, and he neither had insurance nor money to take his son to the doctor. What choice did I have but to help him out? I asked the man what was wrong with his son and how much money he would need. He said that his son was coughing and had a fever. I thought to myself that his son might have COVID 5 years after the pandemic hit America. I asked the man whether his son had been vaccinated for COVID. He replied that he had not. I gave the man $300, thinking that would be enough for his son to see a doctor. The man took the money and thanked me. Weeks went by and I saw neither the man nor his son on my way to the grocery store. About 6 months later, I saw the son waiting for the bus near the grocery store. I asked the son what had happened to his father. He said he had died from complications caused by COVID. He mentioned he too had had COVID, but he had recovered. The son thanked me for the money I had given his father to take him to the doctor. He said his father thought COVID was a hoax and would not accept treatment. I asked the son why he used my gift to get him treatment. All the son could say was, quote, "My father loved me and he could not take a chance," end quote. The son started to cry and walked away.
Oh, geez.
So you can see I write on varied topics. I write poetry, I write vignettes. Really, I call them vignettes because that best describes them. Shorter stories, inspirational pieces. It's really a wide array, and I've not seen that. I've not seen other people do what I've done. Doesn't make me great, but I really do touch on the human condition in a pretty complete way, doing it with short to the point themes.
And you have more of these coming.
Oh my gosh, I have so many. I'll read you one. This is from my newer work. I'll just read. So that's one where I wrote a shorter story. I haven't written many on that, but this one is called Imagination. This will be in my second or third book. If you write someone into your life, will it become real? Imagination is a bridge between something that does not exist and something that does exist, if not literally, then figuratively. Many great poems and fictional characters rely on imagination to create characters or ideas that mean something to someone. This is also true for playwrights, musicians, artists, and scientists. Imagination is often what makes reality tolerable. It also provides the impetus to bring things into being, whether it provides for a rich fantasy life or a road to realize dreams. Albert Einstein stated, quote, "Imagination is more important than knowledge," end quote, for a reason. He understood that the creative mind provides the framework to see things in a different light, which allows the mind to expand. This is true for science as well as the arts. On a more personal level, imagination provides people with a way to cope and dream when they have little else to rely upon.
Nice.
So you can see I write on and Simply Put is also like that. I'll read you something that's poetic. It's called As Love Was Meant to Be. A light breeze touches me on many days as I walk from place to place. I think you have awakened from deep sleep to greet me with an embrace and sing songs of love never sung. Yet I know this is not to be as you left me long ago. Though death cut short our time and left much unsaid and more undone, I beseech the heavens we meet again, but if but to love as love was meant to be.
Wow. You know, Andrew, it sounds to me like you need a place to perform.
No, I know. It's hard because I believe in my work, and I believe
Well,
that
you should believe in your work, but you need like an open mic, a poetry slam.
But this is the last one I'll read you. You'll like this. Just to show you how I vary my stuff. Picasso of nightlife, out of shape, in shape, bent out of shape, moods and body types, introverts, extroverts, ambiverts, personality types, users, pushers, whores, pimps, beggars, preachers, gangsters, vying for turf, walking the streets, a Picasso of nightlife. Who am I? Who are you? And where do we get our fix?
All right. Andrew Elitzer, author of Simply Put. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alice. Have a nice day.
Claudia Entwisle started writing years ago and stopped out of fear of defeat. And then she retired and decided to pick up where she left off. And now she's published her first children's book entitled Dreyfus the Dragonfly. This is just the beginning, isn't it?
Absolutely. I made up stories for my two children when they were little. We read books constantly, and they were, when they were very young, were repeating. I turned to a page and they knew the whole nursery rhyme. They would repeat it. And I was like, I had to come up with something different, this is too much. So I started making up stories, and this happened to be one of the stories I wrote about.
What inspired Dreyfus?
I don't know. I always had a thing for dragonflies. I always liked them. I had pictures of them, and I always liked them. I remember seeing them as a child at my grandfather's lake. And so I thought, it just all came to my mind about, hey, I just started speaking about a dragonfly, and I just made up things as I went. And that's kind of how it evolved.
So Dreyfus is our lead character.
Correct.
Tell me what happens with him. Where do we find him?
He is just coming about as from a larva, actually, in a pond area, and is going to reach out to his brothers and sisters and learn how to fly. And that's the beginning of Dreyfus and his challenges that he faces when he tries to learn to fly.
He doesn't know how to fly?
No, there's a reason. His second set of wings are too short. They figure it out throughout the story. One of the sisters actually figures it out watching him fly, and or try to fly, I should say. But yeah, so he has the challenge, and he gets very frustrated a little. And his brothers are saying, come on, and he just can't go that high. So sisters come by, see him frustrated, and one of the sisters says, let me see you fly. And he tries, and well, she says, I know the problem. Your second wings are too short. But she says, she turns out to say the positive enforcement to let him know that he has purpose and that he should be their lookout for the creepy crawly things and lizards and certain bats and birds and things that would attack them. So he finally feels that he has a purpose, and he's very happy. And the end of it is just that no matter what challenges you face, you're still important. So that's what it's about.
Does Dreyfus have more stories in him?
Oh, yeah. I've already written the second book. Dreyfus will be visiting Butterfly Lodge, and it's quite a unique story I have written.
How many stories do you think you have?
Probably, I would think at least two more, if not three.
Okay. How are you promoting the book from where you are?
It's difficult. Small town, and I had a book signing at one of my friends that owns a store in town several months ago. Local people came, people that knew me came, I do have another book signing set up for June with a new owner of a bookstore in town. So, but other than that, I haven't really been invested to know how to proceed. Um,
Do you know anybody at the school? Do you know a teacher who works at the school?
well, I know a retired teacher.
Go to the retired teacher who's got a contact at the school. You need to go into the school.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And then also the local library. Do you have a local library?
Yeah,
Do they have story time at the local library?
I don't even know. I don't know. That's something I could check into, definitely.
And then in the summer times, a lot of times there's kids programs through the library.
Yeah.
Do you have social media?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Oh, yes.
I've had people tell me, oh, I have a book club in my town, and book clubs read the book.
Ah.
And then you come in and discuss the book.
Yeah.
If you have a church, does the church have a Sunday school? You go into the Sunday school and read the book. I've had a couple of conversations this morning with people that don't seem to understand that the people who are most successful are the ones who get behind their book. Nobody can do it for you.
Yeah.
And as part of this process, you can also talk about being an author. You had this idea and you didn't act on it until you retired. And the process of writing a book, what was that like? People want to know because everybody wants to write a book.
I've talked to people that said, I have an idea and I haven't written it. I want to write a book. But I said, what are you waiting on? Don't wait. Don't wait. The gratification of completion is wonderful. That first step is wonderful.
Good. So you felt good when you got that book in the mail, huh?
Oh, yes, I did.
All right. All right. Claudia Entwisle, author of Dreyfus the Dragonfly. I hope I talk to you again.
I would love that. Thank you.
Richard Tyson has been reading, writing, and watching the news since he retired as a technician and tech rep at Motorola over 30 years ago. And after going the self-publishing route, he decided to publish with Page Publishing. The name of his book, The Big Bang, Solar Space and Universe Expansion, Rate Proposed Theory Revision, plus UFO and Extraterrestrials. Richard, where did all this come from?
Well, you won't believe this. This started when I was 10 years old in the 4th grade when the teacher had a presentation on Hubble and all of the many things that he was discovering and publishing. And she was talking about the powerful telescopes that Hubble had experience with, but the telescopes they were working on would give them the ability to see to the edge of the universe. And I raised my hand immediately and I asked, what's beyond the edge of the universe? Now, I had a habit of asking questions that she couldn't answer, that I figured out later she couldn't answer. She says, Teddy, there's nothing beyond the edge of the universe. That's why it's called the edge of the universe. Well, it struck me immediately. How could you stop space? I couldn't imagine at that young age, and immediately, how could you stop space? And that had bugged me for a long, long time, and I thought of it for many, many years. And then I started reading books about the universe, and then the Big Bang Theory came out in 1948 by George Gamow, and I don't know, sometime after that I picked up the books before the Big Bang, and as the years went on, there's been a lot of books on the Big Bang and before the Big Bang. And the more I read about it, the more disgruntled I became. I just had a problem with the Big Bang starting with compacted matter the size of a pinhead, and it just kept impacting and impacting until it exploded. It just didn't make sense. And the other thing that didn't make sense to me was that the Big Bang, they said, created the universe, and it created space and time. And creating space just hit me wrong. It did not, I could not imagine that it created space. If there was no space, where did all of this happen? And what's all this matter that kept compacting to a pinhead size? It all just didn't make sense. And I just kept thinking about it until I started writing some things down and trying to compose it. And I kept thinking, why did it have to be so small? And the other thing was, they had, I thought, the wrong concept about space. Einstein, when he was reading this, he put space and time together and called it space-time. And some of quite a bit of the writing I ran into, they refer to something happening in the universe, and they just contributed to space-time. And that didn't make sense to me. The other thing that didn't make sense to me was the fact that they keep talking about dark energy, and they can't explain what dark energy is or how it works. It's just something out there that's dark, and it's energy. It has to be energy because it's moving things around in a galaxy or pulling the galaxy. And I'm thinking that they are still referring back to the old Big Bang, and they're thinking that a vacuum pulls things. What they're calling dark energy, I contribute to the vacuum of space that's pulling the universe, and it will pull it forever because space extends forever. So the entire universe is moving into new space, not creating the space, and it will be moving forever. And as the universe becomes less dense, it will move those out further, faster, which I keep running into articles daily, almost weekly. They're thinking, why is the universe moving faster that's further away from us? The vacuum of space is pulling on the universe, and it can pull the ones that's leading faster. And as the gravitational force decreases between the galaxies, it's going to be, the universe will continue to become less dense. And all of this is tied up in the fact that I think a lot of the theorists are still thinking that as the universe moves, it's creating space.
Well, I mean, Richard, this is quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
Are you using anything scientific to back up these thoughts? Or is this just what you think?
No more than the theoretic physicist comes up with ideas, and then they are able, with their sophisticated math, to formulate a math to prove what they're talking about. It's all theoretical.
So there's no math involved here. There's a lot that went into developing this theory. A lot of math, a lot of physics, right?
I hope they will seize on it and look at it.
And you'd like to share these thoughts with the scientific community.
I would love to do that.
Now, but also in your book, you talk about UFOs and extraterrestrials. That kind of comes out of left field.
Yeah. I watched Ancient Aliens series for quite some time. Did a bit of reading about that. There's a lot of claims about recovered alien crafts and persons on the series talking about that they actually talked with an alien, but they never give any details about it. They just talk to them. They don't say anything about their physical beings or anything about the crafts, just that they're trying to re-engineer the craft. Actually, recorded in the book, two persons who claimed that they talked to aliens.
Wow. That must be interesting.
Well, it's something I've given a lot of thought to over the years, and I hope the people that know a lot more than I know and are more experienced than I've had that will take a look at it and see what they think about it.
All right. So you are Richard Tyson, author of The Big Bang, Solar Space and Universe Expansion Rate Proposed Theory Revision plus UFO and Extraterrestrials. Thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure.
Marlon Bennet says he has information people need to know, and it's all in his book entitled A Little Book, A Big Secret, Real Life, Brilliant, and Awesome. Marlon, what kind of information do we need to know?
The book is astonishing odysseys that help people and is non-stop thriller.
Okay, give me an example.
My experience has been very supernatural, and it had to be known. The angels use me like magic. I travel from one place to another, like Star Trek, beaming in and out. One cannot see the secret that God and I proved in the book.
I want to see what you're talking about. I want to visualize this. So you're saying the angels inhabit you?
Use me. In the Bible, it said, I give charge, my angels charge over you.
When you say angels charge over you, what do you mean?
They don't inhabit you. They take you places, keep you out of trouble, all kind of stuff.
All right, so tell me about a time that an angel took you somewhere and what happened.
Well, one put me at this girl's house, and just before sex, she took me out of there.
Who took you out of there? The angel?
Yeah, I couldn't travel that way, just walking.
Where did the angel take you?
I don't know where I was before I was at her house.
All right, so tell me how you tell the story in the book. You meet a girl, you're going to have sex with her, and right before you have sex with her, an angel takes you somewhere.
He took me back to my girlfriend's house.
He took you back to your girlfriend's house?
Yeah, I don't think I was there in the beginning, though. I think I was home.
So right before you had sex, the angel took you away, and then the angel brought you back?
Yeah. Maybe the angel thought we were going to talk and stuff. So when the sex part came up, he took me back out of there.
And then he brought you back?
Yeah.
What did your girlfriend say about that? Did she notice you were gone?
I didn't know. I went through these things, except God says in the Bible, God blesses your memory.
Was there a lesson to be learned in this experience?
It's this specific thing. It's I'm not the only one that went through supernatural things. And once they hear these things, they can remember. The reader can remember their activity as well.
You talk about there's a thing about women not knowing their baby's fathers.
Right.
What's that about?
Oh, that's the thing that came on. They come on TV and they have a DNA test. The fathers find out that they were the fathers or was not the fathers. And the women didn't know either. And the thing is, the book explains how that happened, that the women did not know.
So the women don't know who their baby's father is?
A lot of them on the show.
Why is that?
The book explains that as one of the secrets.
That's one of the secrets. All right. So it'll show you why in the book. Let me ask you this. You said you wrote a book called The City Behind the Movie Stars and Prose.
Yes, Trenton, New Jersey.
When did you write that?
Probably about 2013.
Okay. Does that have anything to do with this book?
It just emphasizes a little on what people from Trenton can do secretly in big time things, not just being someone in a little city. they can do that. Basically, I think they had to be angels to do what they do in superstars and stuff.
Because you're saying that they can run from the devil even to Hollywood.
Yeah, it's in the book.
So you say that city folks can get into the bodies of superstars?
Yeah. Even when I boxed, I used to do things that was supernaturally done by the spirit of another boxer. And the power and things came to.
Where were you a boxer?
Trenton, New Jersey.
Did you compete?
Well, I had an amateur fight. I knocked the guy got knocked out. And Jesus said, do you want to fight or you want me to fight? So I let Jesus fight for me. So the manager said I was ready for the pros, and the guy forfeited the fight. And I didn't really have anywhere to fight after that. So I went in the Navy.
Oh, I see. Oh, this is when you were younger. So what's your message, Marlon?
So people can understand how to personally overcome hardships before and learn things that happen, that can happen, that they can understand how they can understand how they can in a specific thing, like the book says, there are bird creatures in the air in Revelation in the Bible that can impersonate your voice and in noise and stuff. And they can get people in trouble that really wasn't in trouble. But it's the light's noise. Even a judge can get order in a court when it gets noisy. So it's ways to stop the air creatures.
Do you go out and talk about your book?
I'm planning on doing that.
Okay. You are Marlon Bennet, author of A Big Book, A Big Secret, Real Life, Brilliant, and Awesome. Thanks for talking to me, Marlon.
Okay.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. We hope to see you back here every Saturday night at 8 o'clock, or listen to our podcast anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, just to name a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.